Okay.
Think otherwise, then you ignorant.
Leave me alone, because
And feed your body, and I'm different.
Don't attack me cause I ain't no Democrat. Said don't attack me cause I ain't Republican. Yeah, I'm still black. Yeah, I'm still black. Said don't attack me cause of all my politics. You ain't gotta deal with all this shit that I deal with. Yeah, I'm still black. Yeah, I'm still black. I'm still black.
Banger, 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 gotta bang. We the ones that put the words that's scrolling out in outer space. You don't want a war with stars, we all a problem, we the gang that took over these coordinates, don't bring it our way.
Fire, fire, better retire. On the job, ain't no one higher. High up, see the hardest drivers. Galaxy riders, alien siders. Out in the field, we left them.
Welcome to Plausible Foolishness. We are the two kings of the Rube Empire. I'm the Philosopher King, the Ivory Tower, the Mad Scientist Matt, and I've got a perspective on things. Take it away, Ray.
What you gonna do, brother? Listen, what you gonna do, brother? The strong one is in the house. The people's champ, the people's choice, the Ebony Rampart, the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only, is on the show again today. That's 2 days in a row, man. Are you gonna be able to handle this?
Well, we handled it before. Before you was down
Hey,
on
listen,
us.
man, it's all good. But guess
I'm sorry. Before you
Listen.
had, got really busy.
First of all, no, listen, man. Here's the thing. I just want to shout out. I want to give a quick shout out to my main man, Dusty. We love you, man. If I had some booze, I'd pour out a little bit for you. You know, we're missed, and you will see you soon. Get better. We love you, brother. Man, I don't know if I want to say a statement first, but I just want to do this real quick. Let me clear this off. Did you see Virginia yesterday, bro?
Yeah, I've seen a little bit about it.
Weird.
It's and
Interesting.
everything I've seen is it's too close to call. Too close to call. Yeah.
Too close to call. They called it, but it's too close to call.
Well, I mean, some stations called it, but other stations, one might say more credible stations. So it's too close to call.
I gotcha.
What up, Death Hunter?
What's up, man? How you doing? But I mean, what's interesting is even CNN conceded, man. You know, when CNN.
You mean one of the credible stations? I mean,
no, not what's.
That's surprising because it was only like a difference of like 8% at like midnight last night, but
yeah, but you know, too close to call, you know, all that fun stuff, man. But you know, it is what it is. But some fun things went down yesterday. I don't know if you saw it or not, but Virginia, a Democratic stronghold, flipped red. And not only just flipped red, they flipped red for the governor's position, the lieutenant governor's position, and you know, I think even their state representative or their actual in-state representatives flipped red too, right?
Possibly. I don't know about that one, but what I do know is that finally those racist Republicans finally elected a black woman to the lieutenant governorship. You know, it's about time, because clearly the Democrats have been doing it for decades.
No, that's not actually true whatsoever. It wasn't the first African American representatives of the House came from the Republican Party and the Senate. I think the first actual black senator wasn't until the 80s for the Democrats, correct?
No, that can't be true.
Well, I mean, it absolutely is true, but that's another story for another time.
But we're talking about the state of Virginia and the lieutenant governor. Finally the Republicans caught up to the Democrats and elected a black woman.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Which is interesting because she's the first black woman to be elected to a position of that authority, and she happens to be a Republican.
No, that can't be true.
Well, it is true. She's the first African American to get voted as the lieutenant governor, and she's black.
But Democrats good,
her dad moved here.
Republicans, conservatives bad. So
yeah, and I get the old trope, but the reality is,
breathing is a trope.
Breathing's a trope. Breathing's a trope, but it is what it is. Here's the thing. I got a couple thoughts on last night, man. They're probably going to be out of the field takes, and Democrats can use this for whatever they like. And I will say this, even with my MAGA hat that I'm rocking right now, and from the bottom of my heart, let's go, Brandon. I think that,
amen, brother.
You're never going to hear me call myself a Republican, but what I will say is there's definitely some lessons that definitely need to be learned from last night and from yesterday in totality. But the reality of the situation is the one thing I know about history, we never learn from history. I'm just going to tell you that I saw that quote the other day. I totally stole it from online. But I was like, the one thing I know about history is we never learn from history.
The one thing I've learned from history is that we don't learn from history.
We don't learn from history. Yes, 100%. So let me say this. I'm very happy for Virginia. Awesome. But it doesn't mean a hill of beans unless the new governor does something.
True.
Okay, so for example, you can be Mitt Romney and be a quote unquote Republican and act like a Democrat. I mean, ask the state of Massachusetts. They voted him as a Republican, and he basically created Obamacare, if you think about it. So,
there's go ahead. I mean, for all of my life, we've seen that the Republicans are at best a stasis. So we freeze time for 4 years and nothing bad happens.
Nothing changes.
But nothing good happens either. Except for wars. Wars happen. And those are bad.
Well, that's more the Rhino Republicans, but I mean, if you think of actual libertarians, they don't really want to go to war. Actual conservatives don't really want to go to war. They're all about defense. They're all about supporting our army. They're all about defensive tactics, but they're not really so much about, hey, let's go. Peace, exactly. It's the Teddy Roosevelt.
Speak softly.
What is it? Speak softly and carry a big old stick. That big stick energy, if you know what I'm talking about. Now, here's the thing. No quarter November. At the end of the day, this is what I'd like to tell people is this. Republicans, they're as reliable as your ex-girlfriend. They're a great idea, and a lot of times they let you down. So I'm not going to get overly excited. I want to see what the fruit is of the action, and I think that most voters now are at that point. Even the most ardent, hardcore, never Trumpers really hated it. Wasn't excited for him being voted in, but then they got excited about what he did when he was there. Same thing with Ron DeSantis. So, Ron DeSantis literally could have been he could have been just like every other Republican governor that's been in Florida, right? We've had the Jeb Bushes of the world. We had not Chris Christie. What's the other guy's name?
Scott.
Who's the guy that was a Republican governor, but was it not? Well, I mean, Rick Scott was okay. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
it was just okay, but
Well, I don't remember anything amazing happening under Rick Scott, but I don't remember anything bad happening under Rick Scott either. And what's up, JBN?
Exactly.
Good to see
so,
you.
What's up, brother? We got Death Hunter and JBN in the house. This is going to be a party.
It's a good
party.
night.
But anyways, like what I was saying.
It's a good night.
It's a good night to die. But I've also argued that Republicans are just Democrats on cruise control, and that's kind of how it is. They just kind of let things pass because Republicans talk a mad game, but they inflate our economy as well. They give us tons of debt. Just kind of how it is, what it is. But this is what I will say is this. I want to see what the governor of Virginia does. It's exciting to have a black woman as a lieutenant governor of the state of Virginia for the first time ever, and she's a Republican. That's very exciting as well.
Until you realize
really
that doesn't amount to a hill of beans in the our conservatives racist debate.
Yeah,
that debate will never end. As soon as you accept that,
it won't.
The better your life will be.
And that's
we're not going to win this argument.
And that's what's hilarious.
We just live life the way we live.
Yeah, 100%. So, and that's why, I'm done fighting that argument. I'm not going to sit around and try to convince you that conservatives aren't racist. I mean, time and again, there's a Blexit happening right now. A big voter block in Virginia is black, and most of them went Republican in this election. That's why it was such a shock, because this shouldn't have been this close. It should have been an easy landslide, because we're told that a year ago, Joe Biden won that by 10 points. It's a 10-point spread. That means he got 60% of the vote in the state of Virginia, allegedly.
Yeah. About that.
I mean, he is the most popular president of all time. I mean, don't get me wrong. 81 million votes.
More than Obama in his first term.
More than Obama.
And we remember the electricity of the Obama campaign.
Oof. And trust me, I got sucked into it. I voted for him twice. So trust me, I get it. But what's interesting is literally a year later, Virginia, which has been a Democratic stronghold, good old Ralph Northam, blackface Ralph Northam is the incumbent, right? Flips Republican.
Yeah. Impossible.
Now, you got to take a couple things from that assessment. Okay. One, there's only really two options here. Either Virginia really didn't actually go Democrat a year ago, which we all know that's a conspiracy theory. And, that was a clean win. There's nothing crazy about the election. 2020 whatsoever. Or the Democrats suck horribly at everything. And when they have all the power, which they do, keep in mind, federally, they are the president. They have the Senate. They have the House. They have everything. They suck. Your gas prices went up. You can't even get stuff. Supply chains messed up. You have people crossing over the border illegally. They completely botch Afghanistan. We're a laughing stock in the entire world scene. I don't know if you saw the pictures from the climate change UN deal, but Biden's on the very end of the picture. Trump was there. He was dead center. Mm-hmm. Interesting. But what's funny is we're seeing our place in the world. We are seeing the fact we're seeing the lowest. What is it? One of the lowest polling presidents of all time, which should be impossible, especially when he's the most popular of all time. So you've got to ask yourself a couple questions. Is he actually the most popular president of all time? Did those 81 million votes actually happen? Or is he just terrible? And I would argue and contend that it's both. And I would say that it's going to be a very, very, very red winter for the next couple of years for Democrats, because they have no issues that they could possibly land on. What is the winning, defining piece of legislation that the Democrats can pass or situation that the Democrats can lean in on that actually turns the ship around and helps them win.
More lockdowns, more mandates, more boosters. Wait a second, no, nobody likes that. Well,
yeah, which is interesting.
Nobody with a brain in their
what
head
shocked
likes that.
MSNBC. Yeah, I mean, what shocked MSNBC was that COVID and the fear porn didn't factor in at all
Oh
in
my
this
gosh.
election.
Are people not
'Cause
afraid?
think about it. The other thing that
Didn't we turn fear into a virtue?
The other thing that did shockingly to Joy Reid last night, which was laughable. She was shocked that she is such a scum.
She is
scum.
Yeah, scum. She's worse than Nancy Pelosi, and that's saying something.
That is saying something. Well, she's just a soulless puppet, but it is what it is, you know. But she just goes where the wind blows, and you know. Anyway,
make that cheddar, girl.
But Joy Reid was shocked.
I said, make that cheddar, girl.
Yeah, Joy Reid was shocked that nobody cared about January 6th.
Yeah,
everybody
knows that it was. Everybody knows that the narrative is complete garbage.
It's complete garbage. Just like the COVID narrative's garbage. They lost the COVID, like the moment, and these slappies, and it's no quarter November, so I'm just going to say it. These slapdicks lost the narrative the moment that they tried to remask everybody. They baited you for months and months and months that this shot, once you get the shot, everything's going to go back to normal. Literally 1 month after the shots, the masks went back on, especially in these blue states. And that was the only thing that they had. If you're a rational person, I mean, yeah, you can get sheepled into believing that Corona is going to kill you. You know, a lot of people fell for it. You know, we didn't historically. Go check the record, check the score. What are we, 202 episodes into this bad boy now? Where are we at? Yeah, go back. Good news. We don't delete our episodes. YouTube might, because we're telling the truth, but you can go back, and we called this BS from jump. We were talking about it in February of 2020 because crazy. We happen to follow Christ, and we get a little bit of discernment, and we're not bragging on our own intelligence, but it was pretty abundantly clear from jump that this was the flu. But you know, you can only say so much, right? But there's only so long you can make people afraid of the flu. And eventually you're going to start looking around and realizing that, wait a minute, everybody and their brother has gotten COVID. And I don't really know anybody that's died from this thing. Maybe this isn't as scary as it's supposed to be. And then people got shots and got sick after getting their shots. And they're like, wait a minute, maybe these shots aren't working so well. And then when people start putting the mask back on, they're like, wait a minute, why am I doing this? I got the shot.
Florida has the lowest cases in the country, right? Yep. But I'm still wearing a mask at work. Why? Because the CDC guidelines. Use your freaking brain.
Every single week. Well, no, they're following the science, aka the TV. But this is the thing. But this should be the wake-up call, and I'm going to address the mainstream media before I address the Democratic Party. You've completely lost the narrative. If anything should be proven to you of last night, in a seemingly meaningless random election a year after the main show, you had record numbers of Republicans coming out, people voting Republican in a very blue state. The things that you have fear porned for the last year, aka COVID and January 6th, no one gives a rat's behind about. They don't care because they know better. Again, when you get COVID and realize, oh, it's just the flu, why am I freaking out about this? When you're looking at the videos of January 6th and realizing that not a single person brought a weapon to the Capitol. The only person that got really violent to the point where people died were the Capitol Police. And then what's hilarious about these hearings is they go mute the moment that you see video, and they start releasing video of what actually happened that day. And you're like, wait a minute, I've seen this before. Don't high schoolers walk into the Capitol building like this every single day? And you're watching them take Buffalo Man in and say, hey, Buffalo Man, just be nice when you're in here. Okay, sounds good. And you realize that's not really an insurrection. And then you pair that with an actual insurrection when you have Afghanis that, the Taliban taking over our place in Afghanistan, and you see a real insurrection and you see bodies falling from planes. You wake up really fast and say, gee golly, they might be full of crap. And when you push that, oh my gosh, all of these Republicans and conservatives are racist. And then you start looking around and you talk to other people, because if you're from a normal state, black people, white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, Indian people, Native people, we all get along. And you realize, hey, most white people are not trying to kill me. And then you think about it, and then you're like, wait a minute, when's the last time I actually saw the KKK? When's the last time I actually got discriminated from this job because I'm black? Because corporations are pouring over themselves to hire minorities. And which is even more funny, a fun stat, I don't know if you guys covered this on the show, but 2/3 of white kids actually use minority. They either claim to be a minority or claim Native American status to get into colleges. So if America's so racist, why are white kids lying about being white to get in your schools? If it's such a disadvantage, think about this. And Ibram X. Kendi put this on Twitch like a dummy and didn't think through this. He self-owned himself. He said it as if it was a bad thing, like, oh, these white people are stealing minority status to get into college. Well, doesn't that prove that it's not bad being a minority in America? It's actually an advantage. Weird.
Yeah, but nobody ever claimed that Ibram X. Kendi was an intelligent creature.
Well, they pay him thousands of dollars to speak, and they get that, how to be an anti-racist book.
That doesn't make you intelligent. There's lots of unintelligent people who make lots of money.
Oh, 100%, the writer of White Fragility. But my point is this, at some point when you're like, wait a minute, they keep telling me that Republicans are racist. Why is this sweet black lady who was a Marine who served in our Navy, or in our Marines are Marines attached to the Navy? Yes. But they're attached to our armed forces.
The Marines are a branch, but they originate from the Navy, yes. Yeah.
But a freaking Marine who is, her dad was a Jamaican who came over in the middle of the civil rights movement in 1963, when America was at its worst, came to America, and strangely, she doesn't hate white people, and strangely, she wants to build with everybody.
And her father was an immigrant.
No way.
And we hate immigrants.
Strange. Yeah, we hate immigrants here. Right? So here's the thing. It's like all of the narrative, all the tropes that keep getting thrown out there, eventually lose their luster. And then when you don't have the narrative anymore, then you actually have to back up your relevance. I hate to use the word from yesterday, relevance, based on your record. Well, what do people have to compare with the Democrats and Republicans? So I have a very clear, distinct reality. When the Republicans were running everything, aka Donald Trump, my gas was cheaper. My products were cheaper. I could actually rent a car at a decent rate. There's stuff that came in. There wasn't shipping shortages. I had jobs. I didn't lose 50,000 jobs immediately cutting the Keystone Pipeline. Immigrants weren't flooding into our country like they are now. Illegal immigrants aren't flooding into the country like they are now. It's weird. Crime was way, way, way down. It's so strange, man. Let's Go Brandon is no longer number one in iTunes.
Let's Go Adele.
Praise the Lord. But the thing is you have a very clear, easy comparison. It's not hard to forget what it was like 2 years ago. And let's get real. The only reason it got bad was because you guys overhyped Rona. And now you're looking around and be like, was it worth it? Was it worth it to do that to my kids? Was it worth it to do that to my business? Was it worth it to do that to my city, my church, my add-in, whatever? And people realize I fell for it. I got duped, But yeah, so now you got to fall on the performance of the Democrats, which is, what do you got? Oh, we're going to inflate the dollar more and spend more money, and we're not going to do anything about gas. And we're going to call your kids racist, even though they've been born for 2
don't forget
seconds.
the smut that we put in our schools for little children.
Yeah, and we're just going to put porn in your, in your schools, and we're going to call you a domestic terrorist if you challenge us on this. We're just going to call you a racist domestic terrorist.
That's so
strangely, that doesn't do well
so much. These people have no shame whatsoever. None.
Well, of course not.
They're the most atrocious people.
If you don't acknowledge God, then you don't really have shame, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it.
But it still infuriates me.
Well, I mean, I get it. It infuriates most people, right? But this is the reality. So now the talking heads that have the quote unquote power, which is laughable because CNN numbers are dog trash. They couldn't get a single show over 800,000 viewers the last 2 weeks.
Not one show. And that,
not one.
You might think 800,000 is that's a lot of people. But not in TV numbers. We have 330 million people in this country.
What's that number? That's like 0.0001% of the population. Your chances of dying from COVID, essentially. That's how many people are paying attention. It's the COVIDiots.
COVIDiots, yep.
I mean, let's get real. It's the COVIDiots and the branch COVIDians that are still tuning into this crap.
That's good.
You know? I mean, that's where we are right now. So don't be surprised that when you call working class white people a bunch of racists, and you call them terrorists because they don't want their kids to be taught, or they don't want our schools to tell their kids that they're evil white devils.
When you try to pretend,
and vice versa.
When you try to pretend that millionaires are treated like chattel slaves in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Did you see the thing I sent you from the Babylon Bee? Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Kaepernick said that no slave owner will enslave him no matter how many times he tries out to be a slave.
Exactly. Gosh.
Those guys are geniuses. I want to write for them
hilarious.
so bad.
They're hilarious.
But I don't know that I can come up with as clever a headline.
The thing is you just got to be enriched in what's going on, and then think about the absurdity of logic, and that the Democrats they freely give all the time. But what's funny, I mean, you're going to try out Colin Slapperdick, and then try to pull this off, and then you're going to tell black parents that their kids are going to be taught that they're oppressed, and then there's no opportunity for them in America. How's that going to go with your kids? And that's the thing is, like, I think Van Jones kind of hit it. I hate to say it because good old white lash Van Jones kind of hit it on the head last night. And he said it. He's like, I think that people think Democrats are out of touch and they're kind of annoying and offensive. You think? Gee golly. They're gonna tell you that you're evil and demonic because you drive a gas vehicle and that you're born with less melanin. Well, at the end of the day, piss off. Screw you and your little dog too. Like, there's no reason people are breaking into our country if it's so horrible for minorities. And even the minorities that are here are starting to be like, well, wait a minute. What kind of message did I send to my kids if I just tell them they're oppressed from jump? Which is interesting because black people my age that have any cognitive reality know that no one's oppressed them. Black women are some of the most educated people in America. Let me repeat that. They're the most educated and degreed people in America. Education is the key to success and power, right? In this system, you're the most educated. Crazy, but you're oppressed. Well, Ray, you don't get it. Black men are incarcerated, blah, 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 blah. I get it, but if that's your only argument that America's bad is because of the incarceration rate, well, my first question is, why'd they break the law in the first place? But we don't want to go there because that would be, you don't want to think. But here's the thing is, my kids are Corkins. They got a quarter black in them. I'm never going to tell them they're going to be oppressed because they have some kind of, they might be a little darker than other kids. Really? Get out of here. They're less smart or less advantage of whatever, or vice versa. They're demonic because half of their dad and all of their mom is white.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on. Get out of here.
Damn sure not teaching my
at the end of the day
that.
No. I mean, no offense, your kids. I've never owned a slave. I don't think that, to my knowledge, you've owned a slave. I don't know. I don't know any slave owners.
And I know my grandparents.
I don't know any slaves. Either. No, it's weird. But, racism's on life support, and it really needs the narrative to keep going. But, that's why Black Lives Matter.
It was on life support. They brought it back. It just doesn't look like it used to.
No, not at all.
It suffered some disfigurement from its debilitating disease of morality and reason.
Yeah, strange logic. So that's my thing for the media is at this point, you probably need to start pivoting. I've seen a little bit of CNN starting to pivot a little bit and like ask tougher questions of the administration. MSNBC shocked me on Sunday when they actually admitted the administration sucks and isn't good. They actually admitted the actual poll numbers that, the dude's got like a 38% approval rating. Like independents do not believe in Biden whatsoever, which makes me laugh even more because I don't know I don't know out of the 81 million voters actually still believe this crap and actually believe it.
I mean,
because here's the thing.
He's a laughing stock, man. How many pictures of him falling asleep at meetings on the world stage,
pooping his pants at the Vatican.
What is that story? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
People keep saying it. It's just funny. And I'm not going to fact check it because it's no quarter November. And the other thing too is it's hilarious. And it's probably true. And it's probably affirming my my bias towards Biden. And I don't care because CNN, you affirm your bias all the time. You keep saying all the time.
We know what's his face pooped his pants in the White House.
Yeah.
What's his name? Oh gosh. No, the dude from like the morning show on NBC. The black guy.
Oh.
Do you remember that clip?
Oh, somebody. No.
It's the guy who does the weather. The black guy who does the weather. I can't remember his name.
Oh, he pooped his pants?
It was when he was it was after he got his stomach stapled and he ate something that he wasn't supposed to.
Oh, Gumbled.
And it wasn't Brian Gumble. It was
oh my gosh. Oh, the guy who like spazzes out.
Yes, Al Roker. That's it.
There you go.
Thank you, Deep State.
Thank you, Deep State. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
That's so funny. But I mean,
I'll send you a video afterwards.
Here's the thing: it's like, oh gosh, that's bad. I've already seen his MK Ultra video.
This is a music video based on his interview talking about it. It's funny.
All right, but no, it's like so. The media, you're gonna have to pivot, or it's gonna get uglier. But what I know about history is no one learns from their history, and they're gonna just double down on, well, you're a racist, orange man bad.
Yeah, the same old crap.
Really
same old crap that isn't working.
It's gonna be the same stuff. And you'll go the way of the typewriter. You'll go the way of the Pony Express. And I'm okay with it because the reality is this: the internet has broken the dynamic. People get their information not from you; they get it from the internet. Because it's really hard to, it's really hard for your lying eyes to deceive you when you keep seeing this stuff over and over and over and over and over again. So, I'm done with the media. You guys suck, and we all know it. Democrats. Okay, so let me give you the prophecy. There's going to be two things that happen with the Democrats. They've only got two options. Option one is they just double down on really crappy policy and hope to God there's enough people in New York and LA to help them get whatever support over the line. Okay, that's option one. Option two is they pull Bill Clinton and say, yeah, that was the wrong direction. I got to save my reelection here, so I've got to pivot and whatever. So let me give you the pie in the stuck guy optimism. Hopefully the handlers, the puppeteers of Biden look at this and say, gee golly, we either need to get him out and get Kamala in and then kind of use Kamala as a way to say, yeah, we're going to abandon the spending bill. We're going to abandon, all this debt. We're going to lift the mask stuff and we're just going to reopen and then pretend like we didn't hold all of this stuff back or create inflation. That's route one.
That seems very plausible. It's happened because it's happened before.
Very plausible because, yeah. I mean, the thing is this: the left will push as far as they can until they get punched back in place. But what's sad is they never go back to the middle. They just concede a couple steps just to lull you back to sleep, to whatever. So my warning to that is everyone is,
we saw that with the last election. You know, lockdowns and everything, but right before the election, states start to open. And then right after the election, back to lockdowns and mask mandates, and you can't forget.
They'll give you enough ground.
But here's the real thing to me, and I think, and this is part of what's going on in Virginia, and you mentioned it earlier, is that like people are waking up. Obviously, we're seeing the school board meetings, you know. And the county commissioner meetings and all that stuff, you know, battling CRT and COVID crap and all this stuff. You know, we're seeing more and more people waking up, right? We're seeing the Let's Go Brandon chants, which are heartening in some respect, but at the same time, you know that most of these people don't get it, you know? Like, they don't get why Let's Go Brandon, you know? And why Let's Go Brandon is not gas prices are too high. You know, that's a symptom of why. Let's Go Brandon, because the principles that they stand for are complete garbage, never work, only bring disaster and ruin. All right.
Yep.
So, but until they get that, either way, we need to be about beyond just fighting back and punching, theoretically, you know, figuratively. I don't know if that was quarter, but whatever. Figuratively punching liberals back a few steps is punching Republicans too, punching conservatives in office to actually freaking decrease the size of government. To actually freaking cut spending, pay off the debt, not this over 15 years with a penny tax or whatever garbage. We're gonna balance the budget. No, get rid of these agencies. Do what you say you're going to do.
But government doesn't get rid of anything. Nothing dies in government. It's like Florida, okay? Nothing dies in Florida, just like government.
Well, it
programs.
doesn't.
So
if we just sit
I
there
agree
and
with you.
let them be, you know, Democrats on ice.
Listen. I agree with you. However, Mitch McConnell is always going to Mitch McConnell.
Course.
Okay,
so
you're going to have to get gone. You're going to have to, you're going to have to get rid of the Mitt Romneys. And you're going to have to get rid of Liz Cheney's, which she's already out the door anyways. Yes. So it is what it is. You know, the Trump curse is real. You come out against Trump, magically God smacks you down, which is hilarious. But that's another story for another time. Not saying that, you know, Trump is God's appointed one, but, you know, he holds all kingdoms together and put him in power for 4 years. But I don't want to get biblical on this show or whatever. But my point is this, like, to your point, I agree with you. Problem, though, is Rhino Republicans are just Democrats on cruise control. That's it. You're going to have to actually put people that are actually down with that MAGA thought process in power. And the thing is, to mobilize that, you're going to have to get the Ron DeSantis's, the Greg Abbotts, those type of conservatives from them deep red states like us to go in and wreck the system. And the problem is, you got too many people, too many cats, and there's too many coffers to fill. There's too many big special interests. They're going to keep the money train rolling, which sucks. Now,
so then what's the answer?
I would say the answer. Well, you don't want to hear my honest answer.
I do want to hear your honest answer.
My honest answer is we've got to stop worrying about federal anything. We got to just stop. I think that we need to treat our states like countries again. We need to go back to the old ways.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, listen.
National divorce, my friend.
I just think that it just and it's not so much a natural divorce. I think that we can all agree that China's bad, and we probably want to have some type of defense against supersonic nuclear weapons that shoot into the sky. Okay, probably want something there, but I have nothing in common with California. I have nothing in common with New Jersey. I will never go to California ever again if I don't ever have to.
Let's go back.
Okay, I've been there enough. I lived there.
Let's go back to the Articles of Confederation.
Yeah. Wait a minute. That sounded way too much like Confederacy. Oh my gosh.
We got a first-time chat. We got a first-time chat from a new viewer. Corpio5.
Who we got?
Is it a 5? Yeah. Corpio5.
What's up, brother?
From someone outside of the U.S., Biden looks weak and vulnerable, and some people outside of the U.S. were happy when he got into power, and now they think, it's just as bad as the last person. Lol. Except not, because the last person was actually pretty good. In many ways.
Yeah,
not in every way.
Not
in every way. But I guess from outside of the U.S., I'm sure that it could be opinion. We look at the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
Too. From outside of the U.S., we look at the U.S. president's strength to how places like Russia, China, and North Korea act. And, well, we have all seen how China is now pushing forward. Oh, yeah, big time. Well, I mean, Joe Biden is in China's pocket. I mean, we saw that from the Ukraine scandal. And the Hunter Biden scandal.
And Corby, to your point, here's the thing. The problem is the negative perception from the last president came from a controlled media. So I don't know what country you come from, but let's say you're from the UK. What do you think the BBC is? The BBC is a controlled government entity. Okay. They wouldn't show you the reality anyways. In many countries right now, people are literally rebelling against the COVID mandates. You will not see them anywhere on our national televisions here in America at all. They won't show them because we don't actually see a perception of what's going on around the world. We get a very skewed perspective. And from someone inside the United States, Trump was one of the best presidents I've ever lived through. And that's just being objective. The amount of all I'm saying about with the BBC, for example, if you're from the UK, does your tax money go to the BBC at all? Our money doesn't go to CNN. We have to pay for it, but it is what it is. But my point is this: BBC, for example. Yeah, I mean, well, my point is this: you pay money to the BBC, and the reality of the situation is, there's a concept called globalism, which we can go over and so on and so forth, which most of our major media is controlled by very small entities, if that makes sense. For example, all the media groups in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. You can look up that for yourself. They have one specific narrative. Some of them pretend to be on the other side, which they're not. Like Fox News is really not on the side or whatever, but you probably don't. But the UK, for example, in the United Kingdom, some of your tax money goes to the BBC. True or false? If you're from the UK. I'll wait. But I already knew the answer. But you see what I'm saying? Like, so you got to understand there's a narrative that's always going to be painted. And the reality is this: if you're in the United States, you have a country, especially with Donald Trump in power, where he put America first. When you put America first, for example, it's called nationalism, which is demonized everywhere around the world as some bad thing. But when you actually put your nation first, good things tend to happen with your nation. Because you're not really looking out for other people. You're not being a globalist where you're trying to take care of every other country other than ours. For example, Biden's first globalist tactic was to shut down our pipelines and okay one for Russia. Think about that slowly. Now, media can spin that in some positive way, at the end of the day. But you got to think about this just from a reality standpoint. No matter what the media is going to spin, they're going to spin it from a globalist standpoint. They're going to demonize anything that happens to be nationalist whatsoever. That's why they demonized Boris. They demonized Brexit. They demonized a lot of things. But then the reality, the fruition of it coming to pass, ended up being a net positive for the people of the UK. But then Boris went really locky, downy. You know what I mean? And I only say that because I have a lot of buddies from the UK, so I kind of get their perspective, if that makes sense. But especially here in America, you got to think about this. when Russia and China are nervous about us, they tend to play nice. And Trump did a phenomenal job of keeping China at bay. One of the biggest power plays that Trump did specifically was make friends with North Korea. Think about that. You remember that good old Matty boy?
That was World War III.
He did the one
we
thing
were on the verge of World War III.
Yes, we were on the verge of World War III. Our media told us we're on the verge of World War III with North Korea. Trump walked across the what is the 88th parallel or whatever it's called? Walked across it, hung out with little Rocket Man, a guy who he insulted over and over again, and made friends with him. China got a little nervous about that because holy crap, North Korea is ours, and he's making friends with them. That might be a problem. Notice that good old what's the Russian president Putin got real quiet during the Trump days. Notice that Saudi Arabia was throwing him feasts and festivals the moment that he was in power. Notice a lot of things happen on the world stage. A lot of peace and prosperity happens when you happen to have strong people involved. And Trump was a strong cat. He was demonized and hated by our media, but man, they kind of wish he was around nowadays. Well, one for the ratings and two for the actual state of the state of America. But my point is this, and I went on a really crazy rabbit trail, but my point is this: at the end of the day, the Democrats. Let's get back to the Dems. Here's the lesson I think from the Democratic perspective, because we talked about the Republicans. Let's get fiscally conservative. Let's be smart. Let's stop engaging in dumb wars. Let's, and I think some of those points, Matt brought up. But here's my thing for Dems, okay? Reality check for the Democrats. The race card's dead. It's dead. It's really, really dead on arrival. And you played your hand with Black Lives Matter, and you're never going to be able to play that card again. It's not going to happen. It's going to take thousands of cops just blowing away black men in front of you for that to spark again. And what's funny about fentanyl Floyd is the more that it came out, the more that whole situation got real quiet real fast. I'm just being real with you. It's going to be really hard to play the black card again. Now, they're going to try in 4 years because Black Lives Matter will resurface when it comes to the presidential election. We know this. It's documented. What we've learned from history is history doesn't learn from itself. And they're going to take any situation possible and try to make it a big deal. But they played the race card in this election hard.
Yeah.
They played you're racist because you don't want CRT in schools. And then they what's funny is they were pissed that they didn't want CRT in schools, but then MSNBC tried to pretend that CRT doesn't exist, which was funny. That was another clip that I saw, which I was like, well, it's CRT, which doesn't exist. Why are you mad then if it doesn't exist? Strange.
That was Joy Reid again, right?
Why are you mad, bro? No, it was a fake Republican white girl that they have on there. She's like, I mean, CRT doesn't exist.
Yeah, well, Joy Reid said something
then, I guess
too.
Yeah, which is interesting because then why are parents showing up and showing examples of it in their school? But anyways, I digress. But you can't play the race card anymore. It's really hard to play. It's hard.
You see this? Corby says,
hard.
I'm going to play my Asian card, but nothing ever happens. That's because Asians are white adjacent.
Yeah, you're too white, bro. I mean, the thing about America is that's the actual only race we discriminate against. If you actually look at our universities and colleges, they actually discriminate against Asian men and women for having too high of test grades and too high of SATs and ACTs, so which is crazy. Yeah, anyway. But my point is this. I think that what Democrats need to understand is you're going to need something more than race. You played race for Obama, and that worked because we were excited. We wanted to show the whole world how unracist we were by voting for a black guy that none of us knew about. And he was half black, by the way. He was as black as me. Just want to throw that out there. Okay? Cool. You tried to play the race card with Hillary Clinton, which is hilarious because she's the whitest white woman of all time, and she was acting like she had hot sauce in her purse. That backfired. There's a little bit of hubris on your part. you tried to play the race card with Trump, and that did not work out very well at all because, unfortunately, Trump's been hanging out with black people longer than most of those people have been alive. So that failed really bad, especially when Kanye shows up to Trump Tower to hang out, and you got Herschel Walker and Jim Brown and prominent black figures all kind of banding with Trump. So the race card wasn't going to work. Anyways, the only thing that you got Trump on was you fear porn COVID. Well, that's not going to last forever either. Because the next disease you come up with, people are not going to be begging in red states to get locked down again. They're going to tell you to kick rocks and kiss my butt because they're going to look at Sweden and say they did nothing and they worked out well. Then they're going to look at Florida and be like Don Lemon and show up magically for vacation with his boyfriend. By the way, did you see that? Don Lemon was down in Florida last weekend. Yeah. I mean, he told us that we were a bunch of slack-jawed hillbillies and that we were evil and that we were terrible because we didn't have lockdown policies and masks. Lady films him at a all-inclusive resort. She's like, "Oh, hi, Don Lemon. How are you? Are you enjoying Florida?" And she kept saying that on this video, and it's gold. And he realizes what's happening, and he just gets up and just starts walking away because he knows. He knows.
He's wearing a mask and a Speedo.
He's called. Not at all. But he's wearing a nice Speedo for his man. Of course, he's wearing a Speedo. His white man, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and
it's okay to marry the devil. You just don't want to.
It's okay to marry.
You just don't want them doing or running anything.
Exactly, 100%. But so they got busted with it. So America's waking up to it to the point where you've got freaking godless. And did I talk about this yesterday? Bill Maher calling out the. You mentioned
Democrats a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, godless Bill Maher's like, I've been to all these red states and everybody's happy and they're making money and they're working. They go to blue states and it's miserable. It sucks. He said it effing sucks. You know what I mean? And then he apologized to a senator. Like a senator has never heard a cuss word before.
Definitely never spoken one.
There's a reality. Yeah, but that's a reality. Like even godless fools like Bill Maher can recognize that red states are thriving and everybody's going there and everybody's happy there. And it's strange how that works.
And the numbers aren't rising.
Virginia got that. No. Their people are healthier and happier and they're not doing anything about it. Like they lifted their mask restrictions and their governors are pushing against mandates and it's just unbelievable, man. But I digress. But you can't lie. You can only lie for so long. You can only lie for so long. But when you see Joe Rogan going to godless Joe Rogan, you see him going to Texas, things are getting bad. You see Don Lemon, good old godless queer, Don Lemon showing up in Florida. That's strange. So it's just eye-opening for the Democrats to see that, guess what? The red states kind of have it right, and you probably want to go more that direction. Now, they're going to do it in a moderate way, and that's going to be the trap that people need to avoid because there's going to be those moderate Democrats, and they already have some of them playing that. Well, who's the guy from West Virginia that's blocking this bill on the Democratic side? I forget what the guy's name is. But they're
Which bill?
Huh? Not Bill. The
Build
spending
Back
bill.
Better thing.
The senator from.
It's Joe Manchin.
Yeah,
isn't
the
it?
guy from
and
Joe
Kirsten
Manchin.
Sinema
And who's the girl?
are the two that I know of.
Yeah, like they live in purple states.
Yeah.
Well, Joe Manchin actually lives in a red state, but somehow is a Democrat that got voted in there. But
And sometimes he's
But
all right.
you got to think about.
Sometimes he's mildly acceptable.
But that's the thing is you got to understand what's happening in the red states is working. And here's what's even scarier, what's even more terrifying for the Democrats. There's a huge push for pro-life. The Texas bill hasn't gotten shot down yet. Did you see the numbers on abortions in Texas?
Praise God.
They're down 50%. Praise God. Well, they just went to other states to do it. No offense. Have you ever been to Texas? It takes a day to get out of there. Okay. It'd be a really long drive just to kill your baby. No offense. Which is ironic because I don't want the responsibility, so I'm just going to murder my kids. So I'm going to spend a bunch of money to try to get out of the state to get my abortion. But I stand corrected. All right, digress. But my point is this. It's interesting, the legislation that the red states are using, no one's forcing these people to go to church. No one's smacking a Bible in their face. But what people are doing is saying, hey, listen, we value life in these states. And when we mean value life, we actually mean it from the womb to the grave. And what we mean by life is there's no life without freedom. You can't have a life without freedom. Period. If I'm masking you up, that's not freedom.
What about my freedom to choose?
It's not your freedom with it comes to your baby, but with your mask, you're absolutely free to do that, for sure.
What about your baby's freedom to choose life?
Life? No, that's weird.
It's not,
well, what did Reagan say? The people that are it's weird that the people that are so for killing babies happen to have their own life. It's just strange how that works. Weird. But red policies are working. Our job markets are kicking butt. People are working. People are making money. We're making dollar bills right now. The money that we're making from opening our ports to the West Coast right now for Florida is awesome. Truck driving is blowing up right now in the state of Florida. There's a reason why so many of you slappies are moving to my state, which you need to come talk to me first before you move into your place, and we'll have a nice long talk with Uncle Ray the Strong One. But the reality is this: you're moving here for money. You're moving to Texas to make money because we never closed down. We didn't hurt our businesses. Businesses are moving here. The whole situation's changed. And the other thing too,
damn sure better adopt our policies, our values. Don't bring your crap with you. We don't want it. And it's only going to destroy and bring destruction and ruin, like we said earlier. So leave it there.
Yeah, we just don't want the Tower of Babel. Listen, we don't want the Tower of Babel, and we don't want Sodom and Gomorrah. If you want to do that, there's the coast for you. By all means, go hit those coast cities up. They love that crap here. We just kind of want to love God, love the Constitution, have some guns, have the ability to worship our God the way we want to, make a
wrestle some gators,
and be left alone. Wrestle some gators, baby. Leave us alone. And I think Virginia kind of was like, hey, you kind of like what's going on down there in Florida. And the reality is this: Republicans just have better options right now. Hey, you want school freedom? Hey, we're about school vouchers. That's what we're big on here in Florida. We want you to have the option to go to a charter school if you don't like your school. We actually want our schools to compete for your business. We want to make it easier for you to go to private school or homeschool if you choose. We want that for your kids. We don't want to control your kids. We think that you know best with your kids. The state has been very clear about that, right? We're very pro-business. We're not going to tax you to death just to have a business. We're not going to hurt you for employing American citizens. So we're going to make our businesses pro-business. And that's why people move to California and Florida. We create more jobs. That's kind of a good positive thing too. Hey, by the way, we leave you alone. We don't have a state tax. Unfortunately, we have a federal tax, which sucks, but and we got some toll roads, which kind of suck, but it is what it is. We don't want to tax you to death. In fact, we want to leave you alone. We want you to get a gun.
Sort of.
What Grady Judd over there in Polk County advises, Sort of.
They did squash, the constitutional carry bill.
True, but constitutionally, you can conceal carry anywhere, though.
No,
right?
That's what constitutional carry is.
Where can't you carry in Florida?
Constitutional carry is you don't need a concealed weapons permit.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
You can conceal if you get the permit, but that's not constitutional.
Yeah. It's not constitutional at all, but no one's trying to take your guns away.
Agreed.
No one's trying to take your guns away, at least in Florida.
But we could be better. Texas has open carry. Let's get her done, okay?
It's true. That's true. What state was trying to do the Constitution where you have to get a gun? Was that Oklahoma that was trying to push that legislation where it's like you have to get a gun? That's hilarious. I hope that. I'm okay with that too. Your house has to have a gun. I'm okay with it. But we don't hate our cops here. We actually fund our police. Crazy. Let's just say we're a little bit better than Minnesota.
Sure.
How about that?
But I mean,
which they just shot that down, by the way, which is hilarious.
You can argue about whether or not we shouldn't hate our cops, but we can argue about whether or not we should like the cops.
Well, we would like our cops more if we all had guns too. Think about that.
Yeah. True.
That's called a power dynamic.
A power
But,
dynamic.
anyways, power. Did you see that clip? Like how fruity. Oh my gosh, it's so fruity. I need to put it on the Instagram page. But yeah, I mean, my point is this. Here's the message of the Democrats. You better figure something out. Because what you got is not working, and it's going to get real bad. And your players do not look good. You don't have an Obama waiting in the wings. No offense.
But Ray,
you don't. Your best
Ray,
guy.
they can
Go ahead.
They don't have to win on their merits. They can just win on hacking and ballots showing up.
I'm sure that's what happened in New Jersey. I'm sure that's what they do. But some of these states are not going to play about that anymore.
That's true.
Like Michigan, they'll do it again in Michigan for sure. They're going to pull that crap again in Michigan because Michigan's a godless state. No offense, I love you guys, but you're godless. I say that as a guy from Ohio. But you think they're going to pull that off in Wisconsin again? I mean, think about that. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull that off. Arizona, you think they're going to be able to pull that off again?
No, it's going to
be tough, especially with all that heat, huh? Like the places you got to worry about is the Georgias, the Pennsylvanias, and the Michigans, which subsequently were the reason that Biden won, right? But you got to watch out for those things. But speaking of Georgia,
your point,
go ahead.
You're right. All eyes are on these places because as much as YouTube bans this idea, as much as CNN rails or ignores or rails against this idea, ain't nobody buying it.
No, nobody buys it. And I think that's why Virginia went the way it went, because you probably had people saying, yeah, we're watching this real close because we don't want this to happen here. Because Virginia was a shaky state too, because I remember watching live coverage. Virginia was very red up until the last hour of the night. Magically, it switched.
Well, think about this. The hundreds of thousands of people that were in the Capitol on January 6th, for the riots,
millions, not hundreds of thousands, millions of people were there, man.
I don't. You can never get an accurate number out of the news.
Yeah, true. So, take it back. Yeah,
hundreds of thousands to millions who are representative of the millions and millions and possibly hundreds of millions who didn't go to the Capitol that day, but believe exactly the same thing. Didn't just go, oh, well, I guess they're right. See, TV said so.
TV said so.
I don't believe that anymore.
TV said so, guys.
They're calling me a terrorist and saying it was an insurrection, so I guess I don't believe that anymore.
Hey, so we got to close it up. I got one final thought. I do want to answer our new guy, Corp's answer, because I think it's going to be a good one too. But I do want to show some poetic justice. I know you're a massive baseball guy, but I don't know if you're familiar with what happened this year. The wokies on Twitter got the All-Star game banned from the state of Georgia because Georgia was having racist electoral policies, aka they didn't want shenanigans to happen. They actually wanted you to show an ID to vote in the state of Georgia, which is so horrible. So horrible. So they had the All-Star game removed from Atlanta. It moved to Colorado, which is super white.
Atlanta,
which is hilarious.
Very heavily black, is it not?
Huh. Very black.
So they took.
One might say
to fight racism, they took a multi-million-dollar affair out of a black city, a predominantly black city, and put it in a predominantly white city.
Yes.
To combat racism.
The rumor.
To fight inequality.
The joke. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. The joke when I was running my business colleagues used to say that Atlanta is where the black man's king, and it is 100% true, 1,000% true. But yes, we took the All-Star game out of very black Atlanta and moved it to Colorado, where there's like no black people. Guess who won the World Series last night? Yeah, Atlanta Braves won. So, listen, if you don't believe in God, things like that should absolutely make you laugh and realize how.
Well, what's the narrative? What's the narrative surrounding that, though? How evil the chop is.
They wouldn't ignore that. Well, on top of that, Trump was there at Game 4 doing the chop.
And laughing at the Let's Go Brandon chants.
Loving the Let's Go Brandon chants that were permeating throughout the stadium. But that's poetic justice. That is God saying, oh, okay, screw you guys. You're going to literally take an opportunity for me to take care of people away from this city. I'm just going to make this city come back, have the Atlanta Braves win the World Series in your face, and then I'm going to have the guy that you stole it from in the crowd chopping with that racist deal.
Yeah. That
in your face. It's just
the majority
justice.
Of the native tribes have no problem with whatsoever.
No problem. But yeah. Anyways. Yeah, you know what's funny too is the Cleveland Indians, they're getting sued by the roller derby team that's called the Cleveland Guardians because they stole their name. So Cleveland Indians possibly could come back. Nice. We'll see. See how it goes. Okay, I do want to answer our new guy, Corpse.
Do you know who your choice is yet?
Corpy05. Yeah. He asked a question. He said, "Do you know who your choice is yet for 2024?" I will concede the floor to Matt, and then I will rebuttal.
If Trump runs again. I don't know how I would have to vote for Trump, I think. You know? Though are you familiar with it? There's a comedian named Dave Smith, and he's a big time libertarian.
Okay.
And he's running. I mean, he's talking about running and I think is serious about running for the Libertarian Party. And if he becomes their nominee, I really want him to win. Like, really bad.
Hey.
And if he wins, even during the campaign, Michael Malice is going to be his press secretary. And Michael Malice is going to crap on the media and the government nonstop. It will be a thing of beauty. These people are these idiots in the White House. These idiot White House reporters are going to come to him with their idiot questions, and you're going to see a massacre, and it will be glorious if that were to happen. It's a very long shot, especially if Trump runs again, but my God, it would be amazing.
100%. I mean, I'm pretty clear on where I'm going to go with this. My first top priority, one, from a political standpoint, I want Ron DeSantis to run in 2022 for the state of Florida. I just want our governor locked and loaded for a minute. Okay. I don't want to worry about the stupidity. I want to make sure that Florida is secure. Okay. With that being said, I'm perfectly okay with him taking a VP spot to Donald Trump in 2024 for one simple reason. Historically, you've never seen a president lose, and I say that loosely, lose the presidency and come back and win the thing, okay? The revenge tour would be so sweet. It would be unbelievable, okay? The left wants it because it's going to save the ratings. And part of me kind of wants Trump to just be like, you know what, I'm not going to run just to let them die a slow death. But there would be nothing sweeter in the annals of history and just to dunk on these people to come back and win the whole thing, like without the chicanery. even though he won the first one. I'm an ardent believer. Call me a crazy conspiracy theorist, but things like last night kind of reaffirmed my thought process, especially when Biden won by 10 points in Virginia, and then the governor switched. But I think that immediately, I just think that would be the sweetest story of all time. And it would be really hard to kill the momentum, because what is the rebuttal to Trump? What is it? Biden again? He's not going to live through his freaking first term. If he does, please weaken at Bernie's him and put him back on. So Trump can lambast him at every single debate and be like, hey, remember when I did this and then you did the opposite? How'd that work out? Like, it could be like an in between the ferns thing.
I was just going to say, Corpy just followed. Thank you for joining the Rube Empire, citizen. Your liege lords appreciate you.
100%. But the revenge tour would just be sweet. I would love to see that. If Trump wants to be a kingmaker, I would love for DeSantis to run. I think DeSantis would be phenomenal. There's really nothing they could say to him. What are they going to use? What are they going to say? Yeah, you did a crap job in Florida. Give me a break. Like, it is so apparent to the rest of the country. Like, people are like, his nickname's Daddy DeSantis. You realize that? People are calling him Daddy already. Yeah. Okay? Which is hilarious to me. I don't think Greg Abbott has the juice, and I don't think that anybody in the Republican Party really has the juice.
There's a lot of people gunning really for Abbott because they think he's been playing both sides, let's say.
He has. That's why I'm not an Abbott guy. Because Abbott was very pro kind of lockdown COVID stuff until he saw Florida, and then he was like, oh, yeah, they're right. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm just not a fan. I'm not sold.
And there's other stuff. There's other stuff going on with him too.
Yeah. But my point is this: I think that it would be phenomenal for the revenge tour. I want the revenge tour so bad. I want nothing more than the liberal tears. I want nothing more than prosperity. I would laugh the moment gas prices just drop to like $1.50 the moment Trump shows up, like magically. Because it's so apparent. It'll be interesting, pro business, so on and so forth, but again, this is the, I think that Biden has created Jimmy Carter round 2. I think that you're going to have a Republican president for the next 3 terms. You're just going to, it's so bad. And it's not, and again, we live in a first world country, we live in America. We have it way better than most people, but comparatively to any other time that we've lived in our lifetime, I don't remember it being this bad other than when Bush was president, to be honest with you. But that was because of like 9/11, and we decided to go like kill a bunch of goat herders in the desert. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Sorry, no quarter November, going to say it. But I can't remember it being that bad. You know what I mean? So even with good old Obama, it wasn't that horrible under Obama. It just wasn't. It kind of sucked during Bush. I was too young for, Bush Sr. Clinton was like a love-hate relationship. I remember my dad loving him sometimes and hating him the other times. So I can't really speak to that. But in my lifetime, I haven't seen a president that's better. I got to buy a house under that administration. You know what I mean? So I'm going to get real with you. The things were good enough to be able to do that. Things were good enough to make some changes in our life and, tear it up. And I'm happy for it, man. I'm happy for him, And the way that he was so pro kids, I mean, let's get real, especially from the tax side. Like it was actually encouraged in our country to have kids. You know what I mean? So I am a Trump guy. I'm not gonna lie. It's the only political rally I've been to. I don't know that you've been to another one, but we went. I enjoyed the energy,
sure.
Man. It was fun. So I'm pumped for another Trump run, and I think that as much as the Republicans don't want it to happen, it's going to happen again. But I think the beautiful thing about this round is they're going to take Twitter from him, and that's going to be even more beneficial for Trump because all they're going to do is just get interviews with him. And no offense, Trump is so much better on the mic than he is with his fingers. So I think that it's going to be great. So that's my whole deal. What do you think, bro?
I think you're right, and I think on that note, you've been watching Plausible Foolishness, the home of the Rube Empire, where the people are free, the taxes are voluntary, and you'll note our donation goal of $150 by December 14th to help us keep this going. Please help it if you can. Donation links are in the About below or in the liner notes. But most importantly, we serve freshly roasted liberal logic every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 9:30 p.m. right here on twitch.tv/Plausible Foolishness, YouTube, Facebook Live, Rumble, Instagram, minds.com, and anywhere you can get a podcast. Peace out.
Shake and bake.
My thing was, what I said was defeating white supremacy.
Yeah.
White people could create black supremacy. And this is what I'm talking about.
I feel like Terry Crews. I became a target all simply for my views. I'm willing to go and die on this hill. Yeah, Terry Crews. I questioned BLM and that's all it took. Now they call me Uncle Tom, you ever read the book? I'm seeing black supremacy everywhere I look. Exposed a whole agenda, dog, and I left them shook. They coming for my head, now I'm speaking out. On the road to equality, ain't no different route. From Don Lemon and others putting words in my mouth, to the gatekeepers I still don't know anything about. That's the hard truth within the black race. Typecasted as a white man in black face. So they label me a traitor, a disgrace. That's why nowadays I feel like Terry Crews. I became a target